Serge Ibaka is coming off one of, if not the best season of his NBA career, and it just so happens that coincides with a contract year. So, with that in mind, should the Toronto Raptors pursue Serge Ibaka and bring him back to Toronto for at least one more year? Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Sports, where we just hit 600 subscribers yesterday. I am very thankful for everybody who hit that subscribe button and has joined the movement of the channel. If you are new to the video today, you're new to me, and you want to see more of myself talking about the Toronto Raptors, make sure you join that movement as well and hit that subscribe button down below. But on to the discussion at hand today. Serge Ibaka is a free agent, and he has come off, I think, a career year, averaging 15.4 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, shooting about 51% from the field and almost 39% from three, all of which coming off the bench, playing less minutes than he normally plays in any other season of his NBA career. So a fantastic season for the 31-year-old center from Congo. But the Raptors, do they need Serge Ibaka back for next season? Should they pursue a cheaper option at center? Because right now, well, last season, Serge Ibaka was making about $23 million, over $23 million, and coming off a career year, you are due a raise. So does Toronto have the facilities to afford Serge Ibaka to bring him back when they got to pay Fred VanVleet as well? They do. They have the money to do so, but do they want to make that step? I think it would be wise that, yes, you should make that step and give Serge Ibaka the money he wants. I think he's probably worth about $25 to $27 million. I think the Raptors should go for him on a one-year contract, bring him back for one more year, because I think the Raptors have the capability of being a contender again next season, and I think Serge Ibaka needs to be the starting five-man for that. With it seeming like Marc Gasol is already out the door of the Scotiabank Arena, you need to bring back a guy who can be a rim protector, who can shoot threes on the other end, can have switchability on defense. I know his perimeter defense for Serge has gone downhill a little bit last season, but still, nonetheless, a decent perimeter defender, a lot better than you're going to get from other centers in the league. He's just a well above average center for the NBA, which means a lot of teams, like maybe the Houston Rockets, are going to want a guy like this on their teams. And Serge Ibaka, knowing that he's coming off a career year and knowing that he isn't getting any younger at 31 years old, he may want to secure the bag with this free agency, because a one-year deal with the Raptors where there's no guarantee he's going to produce the same numbers he did this year, or maybe he wants to take a 4-year deal at a lesser team where he's going to secure the bag and make sure he's getting paid throughout the next 3 or 4 years. So I think it's up to Serge Ibaka on that. From the Raptors' standpoint, you got to bring back Fred VanVleet. That is your ultimate priority. I think the second thing, it needs to be to get Serge Ibaka back, because think about what you have to do if Serge doesn't come back. You got to go after one of the other centers in free agency. And sure, there are other centers available in that free agency class, but giving Serge Ibaka that one-year deal allows you to have much more money and cap space available for the next offseason when the Raptors want to go and get that max free agent. So having the least amount of money tied up in your players that you already have for that next offseason gives you a lot more flexibility in how you're going to build that team around the max free agent that they want to chase in that next offseason. And having a center, because if you don't get Serge, you're going to have to give a center in free agency more than a one-year deal most likely to convince them to come to your team. You're going to have that money tied up beyond the next offseason, which kind of handcuffs you in a bit of a circumstance with that max free agent. Because we lost Marc Gasol, we can afford to give Fred VanVleet that money, and we can afford to give a bit more money to Serge Ibaka. But next season, hopefully, that Serge Ibaka contract is off the cards. If we hopefully give him that one-year deal, we can still afford Fred VanVleet. Kyle Lowry's contract will be up, and we don't know what's going to happen with that, whether he's traded during the year, whether he doesn't re-sign, whether he takes a pay cut. We have no idea. But you give Serge Ibaka this one-year contract. There's a lot of money available for the Raptors. There are only 3 players who are actually on contract right now beyond the next offseason. That is Pascal Siakam with his max contract. It is Matt Thomas on about $3 million. It is Dewayne Hernandez on about the same. And Norman Powell has a player option of about $11 million I don't know if he'll want to take that because I feel like he's worth a little bit more, but again, 3 players on contract, so there's so much that the Raptors can do with that money, and tying it up in other players is not the best avenue for success in order to get that max free agent and build a contending team around them. Like signing Montrezl Harrell in this free agency, because if Serge doesn't come back, you got to replace him, and Montrezl Harrell is one of the best centers available. But signing a guy like that, even though I don't think he even fits within the way the Raptors want to play, I don't think he'd be good for the system. Even without that, just having Montrezl Harrell on about $20 million beyond next season just handcuffs you in so many ways about how you're going to build your team around that contending option. I just don't think they need to be going out and chasing these good players right now. Serge Ibaka is a guy who loves Toronto. The people of Toronto love this guy. He brings a lot to the team, and I think he is a key element for success if the Raptors want to contend this season. I think you have to bring this guy back, but if you're going to give this guy money to bring him back, you got to use him. You got to use him in the playoffs, because in the playoffs this year, Serge Ibaka had the best plus-minus on the Raptors in Game 7, but didn't feature in the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. They went small. They kept pushing Spicy P, Pascal Siakam. They kept pushing him to be better than he was performing, and they didn't give Serge Ibaka his minutes, even though he was one of the best Raptors players in that series. I think that was a big mistake in trying to force it down for Pascal Siakam when you had a guy like Serge Ibaka who was already hitting his shots, being a good performer, being a good contributor for the Raptors on offense and on defense. Sure, on the perimeter, he got blown by sometimes, but it was a big piece of the Raptors. I think it might have gone differently in Game 7 if Serge Ibaka gets his minutes. So if you're going to pay Serge Ibaka, he's going to be great in the regular season, but you do need to play him in the playoffs as well, where he is going to continue to thrive. There's no indication he hasn't been a good playoff performer for us. I think we're on track for another great year from Serge, and if he's starting, getting more minutes, why can't he be even better than he was this season? Last season was the most games he has ever come off the bench for, and it was a shortened season. You know, he's getting used to that 6-man role, but can he take on that starting role again? I think 100% he can. The Raptors, if they want to contend next season, need to bring in a center who can space the floor and be an elite rim protector. That is exactly what Serge Ibaka brings, and we're not saving money this season to pay somebody this season. So give him the 1-year deal, wait till next offseason, evaluate your options, go after the max free agent, and see your options then. We don't need to rush for that decision. Let's give Serge Ibaka a 1-year deal now and not make any mistakes now that would hinder us next season. But again, another big factor associated with this is even if the Raptors want to bring him back for 1 more year at about $27 million, there are going to be other teams who are looking at Serge Ibaka. I mean, after the numbers he produced this season, the ability to defend the rim, the ability to shoot threes, get his points on the interior, even shoot some jimmies in the mid-range. Serge Ibaka has a lot to offer. He's a huge asset on offense, and a lot of teams know it. So Serge Ibaka coming off that career year, does he want to secure the money with this little taste lingering for other teams, seeing what he just produced? Or does he want to gamble on another year before trying to secure the bag? That's up to him. I know he loves the city of Toronto. He would obviously love to stay in Toronto, but with future aspirations on the line, with the future of your life, money involved, maybe you got to secure the bag elsewhere. I hope that he does want to stay in Toronto and will give us another year. And maybe if everything works out, maybe he stays even longer, although I doubt it. Maybe he wants to stay in Toronto, but maybe not. We got to evaluate from Serge's perspective. And I love Serge. I love what he brought to the team. He was an influential piece in winning that NBA championship. We needed him on the team in order to get to that NBA championship. The things he brought on defense, especially in the conference finals against Giannis. I love him. I hope he stays. If he goes, I'm not going to be mad at him about it. I'm going to be happy for what he brought to the team. I'm very thankful for what Serge Ibaka has done for the city of Toronto. I just hope we can have him 1 more year. So that wraps up this video. What do you guys think of this Serge Ibaka contract situation? Do you think it is imperative that the Raptors bring him back if they want to be contenders next year? Do you think they should keep him longer than the 1 year, or do you think that they should let him go in free agency? If you do want to keep him, how much money is he worth? Let me know in the comments down below your opinion on this situation. But that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. Just hit 600 subscribers, but we are not done yet. We're going to push on and go even further. Thank you to everyone who did hit that subscribe button. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.